This is Wave Watch. I am the Patty V. This is the Be in the Know Network. It has been a long time since I have spoken to you all. A lot of things have happened, right? Really the full off season. I have not recorded a Wave Watch episode since the Darian Mensah agent interview. There were a few that we had on in the books, and a few that we had in the works that we were looking to get in front of you guys, but things just didn't work out. And candidly, life happened. Been following things very closely. I'm very excited about where this program is headed. And I'm excited as this football season approaches to continue to dive into things here, right? So historically, looking back a little bit, I mean, everybody knows, but obviously you had a lot of turnover. Where Tulane is now, you had a lot of turnover. Tulane has had a lot of guys leave. Mekhi Hughes, Darian Mensah, to name a few. Your offense looks very different. No one has really stood out in camp. You had TJ Finley come in, who looked like maybe he would have been the guy that was maybe going to compete for the starting job. And then things kind of go south. Unfortunately, he's no longer with the program. And now you've got Brendan Sullivan, who has transferred in. Little bit of excitement there. And then obviously you've got a few other guys that, have put up big years elsewhere. And we're looking to compete. So the reason I'm bringing up all these quarterbacks is the reason that I'm coming to you today. First and foremost, Jake Retzlaff, former BYU quarterback, has formally announced, or I guess not formally announced, but it's been announced by all the big sources that he will be attending Tulane Tulane University coming up here. It's very exciting news, first and foremost. This type of guy is not often available at this time of the year. Tulane is candidly still looking for a solution at the quarterback position. When you get a dual threat guy like this that was recruited by big time programs come available, it's a massive win to get him to commit to this school. I think it's also exciting and something to call out here is that, Tulane has started to show a bit of a knack, or not a knack, show a bit of the ability to draw big names. This is a couple years in a row now where you've got guys coming in that maybe had an opportunity to go to a power school, maybe had an opportunity to go compete for a starting job elsewhere at a school that in the past people may have looked at as a bigger school. But you've got Tulane continuing to fight, continuing to battle. You've got a great coaching staff here that's, shown that they can really recruit. And now you're landing, top recruits year over year, whether they're transfers or whether they're out of high school. It's amazing to see. Specifically, Jake, has had a very interesting journey here, right? Played some community college ball, had a phenomenal season, or two years of community college, I believe. But then his second year had a phenomenal season. Was JUCO All-American, and then decided to make the leap. Was recruited by a ton of power conference schools. I think like 4 or 5 made offers to him. Obviously, he ends up landing with BYU, wins the starting job there after an injury, but just really never looks back. He's had a few good seasons there, thrown for over 3,000 yards or around 3,000 yards. Definitely, a dual threat type of guy, which is really interesting and exciting to see. And a guy that makes you, say wow sometimes, right? He's got the wow factor. I think one of the things that I was concerned about coming into this year with, all the firepower that you lost on offense is I wasn't sure what you were getting. They're going to try and run the ball. They have quarterbacks that probably will be pretty smart. They've got some talent at wide receiver, but no one who's really separated themselves as opposed to last year, right? I guess last year at this time coming in, you had Darian Mensah. That was an unknown. Everybody thought maybe they were going another direction at quarterback with Ty Thompson, and then Darian Mensah won the job. But you also had, great running game. Mekhi Hughes was definitely looked at as like he's next up. You had a ton of wide receivers transfer in. You had Mario Williams, obviously. You had Preston. You had a few different guys that were here. Forgive me for names slipping. It's late at night here. But this year, it just didn't seem like the excitement, the wow factor was there, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, but it felt like this team was going to win a lot of defensive battles and have to play, smart, gritty football, which I think they're fully capable of. But with Retzlaff, if I can say his name, I've been tripping over that all day. He's the type of guy that makes you say, wow, right? He's the type of guy that gives you the wow factor that's going to bring a little bit more stability to that position. He's got a lot of background history there where he's proven his worth. Obviously, I mentioned dual threat guy, right? So how does he fit into the offense? That's something that we want to look at too. Um, Before we do that, I guess we should call out the elephant in the room. The reason he is available first and foremost. There was a civil suit brought up against him while he was playing at BYU. It was dropped, or not dropped. It was dismissed. Let me use the right terms here because I don't want legal people coming at me, especially a school like Tulane. It was dismissed. So no concerns there. But anytime there's a suit brought up, it's going to open your eyes. In that, obviously, it comes out that he's had premarital sex. He was going to a school, BYU, that does not allow that. I mean, there is an honor code. There are issues that you will have if you violate that honor code, be it premarital sex, be it drug use, be it alcohol, all these different things that are against their religion. Now, he is not a Mormon, but he did sign on to follow their honor code. And since he violated it, and it was obviously admitted through this process of this civil suit, he was suspended. He was suspended for 7 games, and he decided he did not want to go through with that 7-game suspension. He wanted to transfer elsewhere, I guess you would say, not in typical terms, but transfer elsewhere and play somewhere else. With that being said, he has taken a slightly different path, even with the transfer. He will not be your traditional transfer. He essentially withdrew from BYU and verbally has said that he will be walking on to the Tulane football team for this upcoming season. Definitely an interesting path, right? Um, how does that work? I guess we'll see. But my excitement here is, if he comes in and he ends up winning the job, which I think eventually he will. It's going to be a bit of a path there, but I think eventually he will. I'm going to tell everybody that our walk-on quarterback's kicking their butt. Take it for what it's worth, right? With that, though, there's a few things that you look at. Tulane has fully vetted him. They've gone through with different, I think it was like Title IX and background checks and all these things just to make sure that he's going to be the guy they expect him to be, I guess. Make sure there's no concerns there with this civil suit. And they feel comfortable with that, which is good to see. But how does he fit? Let's move to that. His play style. I've talked about this a little bit. He's a not a massive guy, but he's a bigger guy, 6'1", 205, mobile, throws well on the move. Really exciting to get him in the offense. Offense. Did I say office? Whatever. Proficient in the RPO, play action, tempo-based schemes. He's really great at all that. You've seen a lot of that in his history. And then, coming into an offense where you've got Joe Craddock, who has proven time and time again that he can turn anything into gold. I think it's really exciting to get a player like Retzlaff, especially with his play style. Craddock's offense essentially is, in my opinion, a perfect fit. He plays tempo, he plays zone reads, bootlegs, spread looks. He's going to cater it to whoever his players are. And he pairs well with running backs, right? There's still a few good running backs on this roster, and I think that it's going to work out well in the RPO game. If I had to project an output for him, I think he lands right around what he had last year, right? 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 300 rush yards. Like, that's going to be phenomenal. That's what you want out of a quarterback in this offense, right? Leadership, though, like, what are the questions there? How does his history play in? That's definitely something that I am not concerned about because he's never had leadership issues. But anytime a guy is transferring in or moving in because of a legal issue, there's red flags that pop up, right? He's a mature voice, though. He's got a ton of experience, so he's going to bring that leadership to the quarterback room. There are some younger guys. There's Sullivan's a little bit older, I guess, but these guys are, I guess, not as well versed maybe as a guy like Jake Retzlaff. And he's willing to walk on and earn a spot, which also says a lot to me. He could have taken the 7-game suspension. He could have stayed at BYU. Who knows these days how things could shake out? He could apply for another year of eligibility. Like, there's just all these different paths that he could have taken. But he chose to leave and walk on somewhere else and earn a spot, which is exciting to me. Culture fit, Tulane typically will emphasize character and accountability. I think that, not knowing too much about him, they have fully vetted him. And if they are comfortable with him, then obviously I am comfortable with him. I think that, when you have a coach like Summerall, who values those things and means it, right? Like there's a massive difference between some coaches saying things and actually following through with them when push comes to shove. And I think Summerall's the type of guy that does that for sure. Um, I think that if he, like I said, if he's comfortable, I'm comfortable. Um, yeah, and I mean, he feels like a blue collar guy just based from the path he's taken, coming from community college, winning a job at BYU, willing to earn all of his stripes. Right, I think that aligns with Tulane as well. Tulane's definitely got a blue collar identity on the in the football program. Um, what does him coming in mean for this team? I guess the off season and for 2025 in general. Uh, the quarterback room's dynamic now, right? I think that you lost some of it with TJ Finley moving out. I mentioned that you weren't quite sure what you were getting out of the guys that are here. They're talented, but it's just no one has really excelled or exceeded expectations yet. No one's really stood out. I think that he's going to walk in the room and command attention from day one. And things got very interesting very quickly. Now, as far as the team goes, not just the quarterback room, I think that Jake is a type of guy he's going to raise the ceiling of this team, right? Like he's not just coming in and going through the motions, playing it safe. Like he's the type of guy that's definitely going to raise the ceiling and the floor. He's given stability to everywhere he's been. They went 12-2 last year at BYU, which if this team goes 12-2, you're pushing for a playoff spot. So, give me that leadership, give me that ability, and let's ride. Let's ride the wave, right? The AAC title is definitely on the table. It already was before, but with him, I think that you're much more comfortable moving forward. Aside from that, just a few closing thoughts. I wanted to keep this brief. I just wanted to give my thoughts on him and kind of where things have been. I think that there's a few things to watch as we move forward here. Obviously, you're going to have your summer scrimmages. He's coming in brand new. He's got to learn an entire offense. How does he adjust? How quickly does he adjust? Can he push to be QB1? By the time you hit fall camp, I doubt it. I don't think that it's going to happen that fast. Feels like that's right around the corner. And then fall camp, like what's the chemistry like there? The offense in Craddock, how well has he adapted that offense? How is he interacting with the team? How's he interacting with the coaches? What do you see there? I think you'll hear whispers as we go forward. There's a lot of great sources out there that will be able to put some stuff on that, and obviously we're going to share it. So, and then early season games. If he's not a starter, I want to carefully address this. If he's not a starter, and there is a fledgling quarterback, or there's the offense is sputtering, if he gets some playing time, which he may, you've seen Craddock, you've seen Summerall be willing to play guys regardless of them starting or not, especially at the quarterback position. I think last year he said he was going to play all three of his guys, and he did for a while. Can he get in and perform? Can he get in and make dynamic plays and just carve out that position and win that job from there? Those are a few things you'll have to look at. I mean, it's very possible he comes into camp and just wins it right away, or not camp, but fall camp, I guess you would say. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I could sit here and just ramble, about him. Stats wise, he's proficient. I think in community college he threw for over 4,500 yards one year. Last year he was around 3,000 yards. He protects the football well enough. He's rather efficient, and he can run. Those are all things you want to see. Those are all things that bring excitement, and I'm excited to see where this goes moving forward. That's it, though. Appreciate you guys. This is Wave Watch. You can follow us everywhere at Be in the Know if you don't already. Obviously, you can follow myself at Brew Bros or at the Patty V. Looking to get more coming out. If you don't follow Patrick Hartness as well, you need to go follow him. He has put out a massive Tulane for Dummies ebook is what I jokingly call it, but it's definitely not for dummies. It is just has so much information in there that if you know nothing about Tulane athletics or Tulane football, I should say, you can go read that and you will be completely caught up on every person they have talked to, every recruit they are looking at for the next 2 years, who's committed, who's gone elsewhere, what they're good at, what his opinion is. It's phenomenal. So check out theknow.com. It's on there right now. You can download it, or just go ahead and follow Patrick Harkness on Twitter. I think he's at Roll That Wave. I may have butchered that. If I did, I apologize. But yeah, thanks a lot. See you guys soon. Roll Wave.